Hello Gemini friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video, Gemini July 2020 Must Knows. This month we've got a continuation of the high emotion for better and worse. We've got a wearing off of the retrograde energies that were really forcing us internally and moving, backwards and inwards is basically the retrograde motto. And as the month goes on, towards the end of the month, we have a completely different picture. But let's get there in order. Okay, so basically we've got the third of 3 eclipses this month. Eclipses tend to bring massive change. Sometimes it's internally, and it's like that change that happens inside before the change that happens outside, where you can feel like something's happening, but you don't see the external proof yet. And sometimes it's very direct, very specific, non-negotiable change that comes from the outside. A lot of that is going on this season because we've got 6 eclipses. Just to put it in perspective, we have 6 eclipses in 2020. A lot of times there's just 4 eclipses. Okay, so we've already got we already have a lot more of the energy of change and new beginnings and major endings. And all 3 of them, half of those 6 are concentrated between June and July of this month. So if that kind of gives you any indication about the level of change that has a potential to happen on every level, that's what's going on now. And even when it's something we want, emotions tend to come with these changes, right? So that's the kind of energy. It's like a supercharged, electrical, emotional time when things that you've been wanting to happen forever can gel in a huge way, and goodbyes and things that you have not wanted to happen could come sometimes as a surprise, or news comes in where you know that something is trailing off that you don't want to see go. So it's just, really, really, really strong emotion all around. And for Gemini energy loves movement and thinking and talking and communicating and ideas. And so when the world of emotions comes into the world of the mental plane, it clashes a bit. So you will feel that this month, especially towards the beginning. But every day that we move towards the end of July, that picture changes quite a bit because the planets start to move into Leo, which is in a very favorable angle, and your creativity and your spirits will likely lift as that energy starts to change and we walk out of kind of like this web of emotion towards the end of the month. And what we have between July 22nd and July 28th is the best open window for making big decisions that we've had for a long time, and then we will have for a long time, because as Mercury and Venus wear off in their influence from the retrograde transit, Mars retrograde starts up. But we have this time, because Mars retrograde doesn't happen until September, but the pre-shadow period starts at the end of July after the other ones wear off. This is a cyclical thing that happens. That's why when, Mercury and Venus get to this certain point in their cycle, then Mars picks up because everything is connected and there is this giant, beautiful, coherent mapping of the rhythms of life. And that we can see this at play. But in any case, when Mars goes into retrograde, it often interferes with people's ambitions and their get up and go, but here in July 22nd through the 28th, we've got a series of beautiful aspects that are pretty uninterrupted in that time. And we also have Mars having moved into Aries, which is in a favorable angle for Geminis. And so it's like you imagine a dog shaking off water after a bath. That's what this month is like. And the more they shake, the lighter they feel. They're all clean, they're all bouncy and ready to go. And that's kind of how it will probably be for you, Geminis, this month. As you shake off the emotions earlier in the month, you're sparkly new things have happened. You've got this open window where you can make your big purchases, you can make your big plans, you can make your big decisions, sales of houses and cars and purchases, and all of these things start to clear up more away from that retrograde energy. So as much as it's in your intuitive flow to do these big things at this time, July 22nd through the 28th, I'm suggesting activating that as much as possible, because Mars rules metal. And metal is everywhere in a lot of the purchases that we make. And a lot of things we do, even haircuts, barber scissors are metal related, so getting your haircuts and doing all the things you couldn't do with Venus retrograde, your design projects and all of that. Making decisions about relationships, moving forward, moving in with people, breaking up, like all of these big things that may have been pending. This is a very clear month where the clarity, or at this week, the 22nd through the 28th, is like when the clarity and the zest match together with the flow, and then things happen. So definitely expect to have your groove back more towards the end of the month. But you got to do the work first, okay? So the emotions are going to be pointing you towards having to do some things specific, and so you've got to do the inner work to get your clarity so that when it's time to take action, you can be really sure about what you're going to do. And one of the things that's really being called into the forefront for Geminis is money. Okay, so this second house is absolutely full for Geminis, and that's true for all early, middle, and late degree placements, but there is a stagger. So let's just look at this. So this is the early degree chart. Well, I guess you want to know whether you're early, middle, or late. So early degree Geminis are basically the May born, or 0 to 9 degrees. And this is true. This report, all my reports are always true for the rising and the sun, the rising, and the moon. So if you have a sun in Gemini, moon in Gemini, rising in Gemini, this report is for you. And you can use these guidelines to see where you are. Okay, so middle degrees basically, all right, so early is like the May born, or 0 to 9 degrees. Middle is like June 1st through 10th, or 10 to 19 degrees. And late is around June 11th through the rest of the sign, or 20 to 29 degrees. Okay, so now, May born, you start out with a full second house. That's the money house, the finances, the budgeting, things like that. Middle degree placements, you also start out the month with that focus. But you can see the late degree placements, it's not there yet. Okay, so this money focus, this second house focus, is going to become more true for you as the weeks roll on into the month. And so what this tends to bring, especially in combination with these planets, now I'm going to be using the early degree chart, but what I'm talking about now is true for all Geminis, unless I differentiate out, okay? So this angle between these heavy hitter outer planets and these water planets as they move through into an exact configuration in the late degree is really pushing you to question your beliefs on something. Okay, so your beliefs about money, your beliefs about your philosophy, your tested things that you believed were true, or time-tested things you believed were true may come into question at this point. And a lot of it may have to do with your sustainability, like what it means to be sustainable, what it means to, your budget, how you earn your money, what you do with your money, what your lifestyle is supposed to look like. All of those things are being tested and are having heavy emotion. So either things you always believed come true and then you did the work and now it's manifesting, or everything is getting thwarted for you and you have to ask the question, am I on the right track? Do I have to change something that I believe in order to manifest something different in my life? Because manifestation follows your thought. Okay, and your belief systems are the imprint for what you create. You can see my lighting is fading here and it's starting to pour, so kind of seems like I'm outside, huh? So sorry about that. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I've got the microphone at least. Things get a little wild here in South Florida. Okay, so let's see what else we've got going on. So this is a really good time to plant a garden, tend to a garden, and whether that's like an actual garden or whether it's like the garden of your life, like doing some tangible steps at this time can set you up for later in life. Now, another area that's really being called into focus for Geminis is relationships. Okay, so I'm going to show you this. This has to do with the eclipse. Okay, so the 3 eclipses, the one in early June, I talk about where that is for Geminis in the May report. In the June report, I talk about the second eclipse in June, where that is for Geminis. And we're going to talk about the third eclipse now, which is between July 4th or 5th, depending on your time zone. This eclipse is the last eclipse in the Cancer-Capricorn eclipse cycle that's been going since the middle of 2018. So we've had 2 years of a storyline that was very much focused for everyone in the zodiac about home, family, real estate, working from home, home-based projects, family of origin, ancestry, genetics relating to health and other things, and work and career and your place out in the home versus your place in the home, and fathers and father figures and mother figures and family dynamics and, balancing all of it. that's been, so a lot of changes have been coming with the way that we do these things. And you can see this as of late, as we're wrapping up the eclipse cycle, with everything going on with COVID-19, everything is related. If you haven't already watched my video, How the Astrology of 2020 Explains the coronavirus and the breakdowns of the systems, then definitely watch that if you just search for Annie Botticelli coronavirus, because it's a very detailed insight into how the astrology relates to these ongoing evolutionary themes that humans are experiencing. And the end of this eclipse cycle, we can see the storyline of how people work is changing, of how people do education is changing, how people, do their home and their, lifestyle is changing. And so big news is coming here as we have this lunar eclipse at 13 degrees of Capricorn. All right, so this is at, let's see here, it's 13 degrees of Cap. All right, so for early degree placements, that's going to be in the 8th house. We'll talk about what all this means. So then for the middle degree placements, it's going to be in the 8th house, could be on the border of the 7th house, especially for those of you towards the end of the middle. And the same really for the early degree placement. So what we're talking about here, the late degree placement. So what we're talking about here is basically for the early degree, it's definitely in the 8th house. For the middle and late, it's like in this 8th, 7th house type of energy. But what's the same for all Geminis about this is that this is the relationship sectors. Okay, so you're very likely to see major changes in your relationships, major endings, major culminations, major manifestations, endings of chapters, and for all of you, this could have something to do with just the relationship itself, but it can also have to do with this energy of your relationships with resources. So finances with your relationships, inheritances, debt, credit, anything like that, including sweepstakes and lotto and things like that. So you've got your money sector activated. And again, I'm talking about this for everybody, even though I'm using the early chart. The money sector is activated while the relationship sectors are activated. And so this is bringing like storyline of money with relationships in a big way. So I have other resources for you to look into how these eclipse energies are going to manifest. So all Geminis, look up my video, Eclipses in Capricorn. Okay, so if you just search for Annie Botticelli, Eclipses in Capricorn, or you go to my homepage on YouTube, scroll all the way down to the bottom, I have a whole eclipse series. So you want to watch that. And then also watch eclipses in, and this is for all of you, in Scorpio. Okay, and the middle and late, you also want to watch eclipses in Libra. All right, so this energy of relationships, I go into a lot of detail about how I've seen these things manifest to kind of give you some insights about how they may come through for you. So it's a very, very big time. But in general, I'm really excited about it because we've already had this theme, like I mentioned before, of of high emotion. And so as the month goes on, we've got this moving into the Leo energies. And as the Leo energies come through, it creates this 60-degree angle for Gemini placements. And that's where, so you'll start to see like breaking free, coming out of your shell, things start moving again, the momentum picks up. But that momentum might only be short-lived. That's why you have to activate as much as you can before the Mars retrograde energies get too strong. And that will happen the deeper we get into August and into September. So you've got this time from the end of July into kind of early August for pushing things forward. And what's going to be a big instigator for all of this is Mars in Aries, okay, which also makes a nice angle for Gemini placements. So it kind of tells the story of high emotion, things to work through, as the month moves on. And then towards the end, you're like, bam, you're on fire again, you're inspired, everything's flowing. But starting from the beginning of the month, Mars is going to be in Aries. So you're going to have this impetus to do something earlier than it's really going to be time to do something, okay? So you have to be ready to manage that energy because the clarity and the green light for moving forward might not come until towards the end of the month, but your desire for it to happen is going to likely come sooner, okay? This is true for all Gemini placements. So you have to have your patience, have to kind of, I would suggest applying that bull in a china shop energy towards your inner world, like clearing out your emotions, clearing out your belief systems, clearing out your home even, you know, clutter, like getting things closer to you worked out so that as you can kind of push things further out from you, like away from this inner part of your energy field, that you'll be ready and have everything all clear and organized and ready to go. Okay, so I think those are the things that are most on my mind. If you would like to have more information, definitely, if you want to know every aspect that's going to happen this month of note, we would basically have about even of salty aspects versus sweet aspects. And except for that time between the 22nd and the 28th of July, which is kind of just all sweet and free flowing, you know, there's like sweet, salty, sweet, salty, sweet, salty. And so when you sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com, you will get a write-up of every aspect that's notable, what the aspect is and what you may see from it, delivered into your inbox 1 month early, and also just a general write-up of the energy of the month. And you can also get written horoscopes by me at cozybysweetstarlight.com. All the links I'm giving you are also in the notes underneath the video. If you'd like to learn astrology and you resonate with how I teach, or you'd like to check out any of my other paid courses and a whole bunch of free courses that I'm continuing to add to my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, you can see those at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. You'll see there my course, Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery course, which you can use even if you want to do astrology just for your personal purposes. But I'll give you everything that you need to do it on any level that you want to do it in a very organized manner that is set up for really great self-study, but also has a forum for you to ask questions. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.